Forgive me, Your Majesty, but there must have been some mistake. No worries. I've been away from the palace for almost a year and a half. I don't expect every guard to know my face, but really, I have traveled a long way.
Bryce nodded towards the door.
I would like to see my uncle and find out what this is all about. That's just the problem, Your Highness. I can't let you see him. I mean, I wish I could, sire. This letter is in good order, and I recognize you as a member of the royal family. I'm sorry that I didn't at first, my prince, but I'm new to the palace, as you might have guessed.
Tired of the honorifics, Bryce held up his hand to silence the guard.
No offense taken, but a point would be appreciated. Why can't I see my uncle? Because he's not here. He left last week to see a matter of some importance in the western seaports and isn't expected back for at least 3 more days.
Bryce frowned at the young man. He didn't seem to be lying, more apologetic than cagey, but it wasn't like King Aemon to request Bryce's presence but not be there to greet him. Thankfully, Bryce had his own way of verifying the truth. Placing his left hand over his right wrist, he shut his eyes and reached out mentally, searching for his uncle's presence. The tracking spell that connected him to the king was meant to allow Aemon to keep tabs on Bryce, but to a lesser extent it worked the other way around. Though while Aemon's ability to sense Bryce could work across many miles, Bryce's was limited to at best 1. Still, that would be enough to see if Aemon was in the palace. Nothing. The area around the castle registered in his brain as an empty room with no sign of Aemon. Bryce swallowed and opened his eyes.
This doesn't make sense. The date on the letter clearly states he sent for me less than 4 days ago. I left as soon as I got the notice. Why would he send for me if he knew he wouldn't even be here?
He wouldn't. Bryce winced at the voice before slowly turning to face his cousin, the Crown Prince Langstyn. To a casual observer, Bryce and Langstyn had a lot in common. They were similar in age, height, and build, though Bryce was a few months older, a half-inch or so taller, and had muscles hardened by years of practice with blade and bow. His cousin preferred the arts of diplomacy and dancing. They both had gray eyes and reddish-brown hair, Bryce's curly and short, while Langstyn wore his in chin-length waves. In nature, though, the two had few points of commonality. Langstyn now strode out of the side hall where he'd been lurking, head tilted slightly to one side as he examined his cousin.
It's been a while. Some might say not long enough.
Bryce scowled.
Some might.
Langstyn narrowed his eyes.
What foul fungus has taken root on your chin, cousin?
In spite of himself, Bryce self-consciously rubbed at his beard.
Not a lot of time for shaving between chasing down bandits in the wild. I suppose I could have fancied myself up for this visit, but the letter led me to believe it was a matter of some urgency. Oh, it is.
Langstyn strode past the guard and pushed open the door. He beckoned Bryce forward. Bryce considered ignoring him, but while the rift between himself and his cousin was obvious to anyone who could read body language or had an ear to court gossip, it was probably ill-advised to publicly demonstrate it. Bryce had some pride left. So instead, he gritted his teeth and followed Langstyn through the door into another hallway with many doors branching off it. Langstyn selected the second door to the right and opened it, revealing a sitting area with an unlit fireplace, 2 armchairs, and a small table with a waiting carafe of golden liquor and 2 crystal tumblers. The prince approached the hearth and held out his hand. Fire crackled to life in his palm, then shot forward, splashing over the logs. They caught flame, and in a heartbeat, a lively fire sent light dancing through the room. Langstyn never missed an opportunity to show off his magic, especially to Bryce. While both Langstyn and Bryce had fire magus blood, the king had denied Bryce a seed, the magical object which, when inserted beneath the skin of a fire magus's wrist, powered his abilities and allowed him to control them. This was in part because of Bryce's father, who Bryce's grandfather had executed for treason when Bryce was only a toddler, and partially because of Bryce's own history of resisting the royal will. Langstyn loved to rub Bryce's lack of magic in his face, which was a major reason why they'd never gotten along.
I'm assuming it wasn't Uncle Aemon who sent that letter after all.
Bryce crossed his arms.
How long did you keep all this waiting for me?
Langstyn sniffed.
Oh, don't act so surprised, Bryce.
He settled into one of the armchairs and sat with his left ankle resting on his opposite knee.